Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
He's not compensating for anything. He just doesn't care. It's the Bob Sullivan Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
But as long as it's here, then we might as well shine together. Better now than never. Business before pleasure.
It's another edition of the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. I'd like to call in. The call-in number is 585-633-7487. I am joined tonight in hour number one by my host of the Johnny Bobo Show here on Late Night Sports Radio, and from WindyCityStars.com and 87sportsfans.com, John Maloris. How you doing tonight, Johnny?
Ooh, I'm not doing too bad here, and my voice is a little froggy tonight, but I think you can handle that.
Yeah, I'm a little winded after reading off all that stuff you're doing.
Yeah, I do a lot of stuff. I do home loans, too, so if anyone needs a home loan, let me know. I can probably help you out.
Please do. Do you do loans for gambling as well?
No, I do not. No, only home loans, unfortunately.
Well, speaking of gambling, the NCAA tournament brackets came out today. You're not much of a basketball guy. Actually, I would call you not any sort of a basketball guy.
Yeah.
Do you fill out a bracket?
I do fill out a bracket. And I think that's something else we got to do, too, for a show, man. We got to do the Johnny Bobo Show. We need to have some kind of, like, tournament of bad decisions or something where we get people to come up with this really awful, like, trades and bad life decisions, all sorts of things within sports and maybe outside of sports. But I think if we keep it inside the sports world, I think that'd be a fun tournament. But, no, I absolutely fill out a bracket every year, and we'll see. I read up. I follow college basketball a little bit. Nothing too crazy, but I haven't seen the new brackets just yet. So,
somebody I have on the show regularly, Mike Dyer. We've had this argument before about do you fill out different brackets for different
different pools,
different
office pools.
Yeah, for different pools, or do you just stick to one bracket? Do you just stick to one bracket, or do you fill out like 19 different ones?
No, I usually do like 2 or 3, maybe, depending on how many different brackets I'm in. But there's sometimes where when you play a little bit more edgy, you know what I mean, kind of go with a lot more underdogs. And you kind of bounce around, try to find a happy medium on the other two, where you kind of pick different underdogs. You know what I mean, in one bracket. And I feel like that's kind of cheating by having multiple brackets, but. Whatever, man. It is what it is. Who cares, right?
Well, and I think with multiple brackets, I don't get the when I fill out brackets, I kind of look at what's already been put out there. If I'm going to fill out a bracket, I kind of look at what other people have put, and then base my bracket off of what other people have put in that tournament or in that pool, because. The more, maybe it's not going to win me the bracket or the pool, but, you have to be different and take chances versus being the same as everybody. Otherwise, you're going to have 15 ties. So
right.
That's why I don't have the same bracket for every single pool.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a pretty good reason, too. You know what I mean? Yeah, figure your best way to win, I don't know. Maybe I figure you're probably one of the guys that picks like the teams with the coolest logos and the coolest mascots and stuff, right?
No. This my issue is I'll watch more of the mid-major tournaments and then fall in love with the team from one of those conferences, and then when it gets to tournament time, I get to I fall in love with the story too much, like. Vermont used to kill me every year because I'd watch their conference tournament, or Butler when Butler was in the Horizon League, they'd have a couple runs, but UW Milwaukee killed me a couple times. I mean, there's just those small leagues, you fall in love with the team, and then it's just you can't. I just pick with too much emotion versus actually picking with my brain. And that's the problem.
I think it's a lot of people's problems, man. Especially if you're an alumni of one of these schools, alumnus. It's hard to stay away from those favorites, but that's what it's all about, man. You root for your favorite, you have your dog in it, and kind of hopefully they go for it. But at some point, it is hard, man. You do have to get realistic and kind of look at some of the matchups because just the different speeds of different teams and the way they push the tempo, other teams slow it down. I think that's one thing that's kind of kills college basketball a little bit is having such a huge shot clock, and so I think there's a different way to win. You know what I mean? That's kind of the cool thing about some of these. These mid-major teams, they do play a different tempo because that's what they have to do to, compete. And so it is kind of fun watching them get matched up with some of the other big schools, like Duke and North Carolina, stuff like that.
Well, and it is amazing. You see a team that's, pretty, like a Rider or somebody like that. A team from a small conference that's veteran, and they go up against these now one and done schools like Duke's slowly creeping into the one and done lifestyle, and North Carolina's been doing it, Kentucky's been doing it. It's always fascinating for me to watch these. How granted they're not at any point would they be good enough to be playing at a Duke or Kentucky, but it is fun to see these guys that have been playing teams like Albany or Penn or these crappy schools to finally get a chance to play a big time team. And with how many times you get, they're going to knock off the big dog at some point. I mean, that's always fun, but I feel like with this year, Creighton's not in it, so I don't have a rooting interest. Nebraska's not in it. Can't really root for them. And you look, I feel like anything short of Kentucky running the table, I'm just going to be disappointed. There's really no storylines that I'm interested in or anything that I'm interested in other than rooting for Kentucky to go undefeated because I've never seen an undefeated team in college basketball before.
Well, hey, man. I would love that story. So you probably have a lot of people, taking that route, but I don't know. The tournament with just so many teams being in there, it's difficult to just predict one team to take the whole way.
Well, in Kentucky, I'm sort of, I'm rooting for them because it's, Coach Cal's like, the anti-hero, everybody kind of hates the one and done, how he's embraced it. He's kind of a snake oil salesman. Actually, he's not kind of, he is. And, I'm rooting for Kentucky because, he's embraced what college basketball has become. And, for him to be able to do what he's done with these, I don't care how talented they are, to be able to mesh, guys that have, 1 year in, these superstar players, being able to manage those personalities and do what he's done is not easy as a coach in college basketball.
Yeah. And I know right now there's talk the NBA with the new collective bargaining agreement. They're kind of looking to, lower that age limit, make players eligible before they're 19 years old and before they have a year, complete after having graduated from high school. They're trying to get all that changed so that way they can get these kids in there at 18 years old. And I don't know, that would really crush the talent, I think, especially in these tournaments like that. Would just really drop dramatically.
Do you think the a 2-year thing for college basketball would be good? I just don't. I don't know. I don't feel like college basketball is getting any better, mainly because of the way AAU coaches coach their players. I just don't see college basketball getting any better. I'm not a big fan of it. It's too much about the coaches and not enough about the players. And, there's all these idiots that are like, well, I like watching, Kevin Durant was fun to watch in college. Yeah, well, Kevin Durant is 20 times better to watch in the pros when he's healthy. Why would you want to watch an 18 or 19-year-old kid that's still raw talent versus a polished professional? Why would you want to watch that?
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man, but I do think it is critical. I mean, obviously it's a little bit better once these guys are able to get into some of the NBA leagues, and with some of their teams and, kind of learn their system with where they're going to be for a while. But, I don't know. I think it's pretty difficult, at least in terms of, having these players like developed and closer to being more polished and NBA ready by, playing college basketball, because, the shot clock is, there are so many different styles and everything. It's not like the NFL where, the spread offense is just ruining quarterbacks across the NFL and making it very difficult to find a real quarterback. But, no, I do feel like they do need a little time in college just to, get used to the system. I mean, you can't just go straight from the high school system into the pros, because there's a big difference. You know what I mean, in terms of coaching at the high school level, at the college level, and then, then moving into the NBA. So you do need that step in between, at least I think.
Well, high school coaches are garbage anyway, except for in baseball.
Of course you do.
Well, with the going from the high, really, I mean, you look at it, the only one that was really that didn't, like, once he got to the NBA was LeBron James. I mean, even Kobe had his learning curve a couple years. McGrady had his learning curve of a couple years. Yeah. LeBron was the only one that really came in and was physically ready for an NBA season.
Right.
I mean, you look around. I mean, Dwight Howard, he's not playing like a beast, but he took him a few years to become the physical specimen that he is now. I think one year's fine. I don't think you should force kids to go to college, especially with, basketball the way it is. There's not very many affluent basketball prospects, so I don't think forcing them to stay in college is the best thing. Maybe come up with like a D-League thing where they're go into school, but they're playing professional basketball or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I would be fine with that. Yeah, I would be fine with that. I just worry about, if you do, eventually eliminate that whole restriction on, on the age and everything like that, it's just going to bring, weaker players into the league and more people, declaring themselves for the draft before they're even going to be anywhere near ready or even, worth taking. And, I guess it would be interesting, to kind of see how some of these guys, will kind of fit into that. But, that just really offsets everything quite a bit if you end up going, and declaring yourself and then you don't get drafted. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. What do you think the ideal matchup is in this NCAA tournament? Mine is Kentucky Duke in the national title. I think those are the two, Duke having Okafor versus Towns. I think that would be an awesome matchup. And this guy who's, a slime ball, and Calipari versus, Mike Krzyzewski, who has the, used to have those Discover card commercials talking about how he's all about character, but he keeps a guy around who's raped a chick. So, what do you is there another matchup out there that you'd like to see other than Kentucky Duke, or do you even want to see a Kentucky Duke matchup in the national title?
I'm just not a big Krzyzewski guy, so I really don't care to see Duke there. I mean, Kentucky Villanova. I mean, obviously that'd be, I think a matchup with quite a few people. Like, I just like Villanova's tempo. Love Shaka Smart. So I mean, it's he's not even there anymore. That's using what TCU.
He was never there. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, I know, right? But I feel like that'd probably be a pretty good matchup. I'm not really, I guess there's not really too many favorites that I have in here. You know what I mean? I do like Michigan State, but I'm not sure if they're going to end up being able to swing anything. Watching Wisconsin, the Big Ten championship today, I thought, Michigan State was probably going to win that ball game. You know what I mean? But somehow Wisconsin ended up coming up with the win. But that's another guy too, man. I'm just a big Tom Izzo guy. So I would like to see him do well, just because he's an alma mater from my college. Believe it or not, he actually roomed with Steve Mariucci, Tom Izzo. They went to Northern Michigan University, as I did. So, I'm gonna have a little bit of a spot there in my heart for Tommy.
Well, Izzo ruined Mariucci's life by convincing him to go coach the Lions.
Oof,
so I don't know if how good of friends they still are.
Yeah, that was not a good situation.
Yeah, that was a dumpster fire if I've ever seen one. Who do you think the most overrated coach in college basketball is right now?
Overrated? No, well, let's hear it. What do you got?
Well, I don't think so anymore, but the fact that people think Rick Barnes is a good head coach boggles my mind.
Yeah.
Because he gets way more credit than he deserves, and he should definitely be on the hot seat year in, year out. I mean, there's great players in Texas. I mean, it's the same thing with Mac Brown. Like, how are you not in the national title every single year with the players in Texas? And, with, I mean, just the insane amount of talent that comes out of Texas for basketball. I mean, like LaMarcus Aldridge, you had Durant. I mean, and their best team was probably with like TJ Ford. I feel like he's an overrated coach. And, I feel like Scott Drew with Baylor has done a much better job over his time there. And really the other Texas schools really don't matter after that.
Why is that?
I mean, they're just not good. I mean, W. Smith's not doing a good job at Texas Tech. And I don't even know who the hell's at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
So who's your overrated coach?
No, my overrated coach, man. Honestly, man, I don't keep up that much with college basketball. To the point where I'll be on there and give you a name like that. I mean, all the things they catch me are the ones that piss me off, like Jim Boeheim and all his BS and all this Mike Krzyzewski stuff, with all the crap that he hid with this whole Duke thing that is still somehow under wraps. I mean, it's all a bunch of crap.
Jim Boeheim's no better than a grade A coward. That's all he is.
You got it, man. That's the stuff I'm sick of. And then the few coaches that I actually do recognize are the ones, that you'll give some credit to. You know what I mean? Like I said, the guys like Shaka Smart, I don't know where the hell he coached. I got to give him credit. And then, but no, you do. Because, you only see him so many times during the year. I'm not watching every one of these college games, and I got enough stuff to keep up on. And so, when I actually do get an opportunity to watch some of these games, it's cool to actually see, kind of the way these guys react to some of their players and just, their game calling and the kind of their strategy. You know what I mean? That's the best part about it. You know what I mean? That, and then, you got your guy there in Kentucky, and then it's what, Bill Self's in Kentucky right now, or what?
Oh my God, Bill Self's at Kansas. What the hell is going on here, Jim?
I told you that. What do you expect, Bob? You entered the conversation saying, yeah. He enters the conversation. Yeah, I know you're not a basketball guy. Actually, you're not a basketball guy at all. But let me ask you 20 minutes worth of basketball.
Okay. Well, moron, you said you watch enough college basketball. Did you not say that earlier in the conversation?
Yeah, I watch enough. Yeah, that means enough for me, which isn't a whole lot of it.
Nova years ago. Okay. Last thing on basketball, and then we'll probably take a break.
Yeah.
But, last thing on college basketball. How difficult do you think it is to, if you're a guy like Shaka Smart who coaches at Virginia Commonwealth University, how difficult do you think it is?
VCU, by the way. That's VCU, so everybody knows. Shaka Smart, VCU. I'll never forget that now.
Please don't. Jay Wright coaches at Villanova like last 10 years.
And I like how he didn't end up taking that big job when things kind of blew off for him. He was a hot name. He's always a hot coaching candidate. These coaches, in college, you just bounce around all you want.
Well, John, would you shut up? Because that was going to be my next question. How difficult do you think it is for being at a place like Virginia Commonwealth and then getting a job offer from like a UCLA? How difficult do you think that is to turn down jobs like that and stay at a mid-major? Because I feel like if I was coaching at a mid-major, you do just a little bit with no expectations. You're a god there for life. You go in a situation like Kansas, Kentucky, UCLA, Duke, North Carolina, you got expectations. You don't meet those. You're gone in two years, right? And you're a bum for the rest of your life. How difficult do you think it is to turn down those opportunities?
Yeah, it's got to be hard, but then again, when it comes down to any kind of business decision that you're going to make, you're always going to kind of think about your family and your situation and how happy you really are. That's all about leaving, is how happy are you? You know what I mean? And so when you find a lot of these smaller colleges like that, these guys are kings there. Like you said, that's the whole reason why they're staying, is because you do take that job, it blows up in your face, and then kind of what are you doing? But, if you actually have a good deal, you're coaching at a level, where essentially you have everybody overperforming, and playing better than, they would expect VCU to play. That's a great thing. That's very hard to leave. And so considering the downside to it, I guess maybe it wouldn't be as hard, to pass up those jobs. But the good thing for a lot of those guys is even though they are passing up those jobs, they're still receiving a raise on the other end. So, it is kind of the best of both worlds in some degree.
Well, my whole thing with the tournament bracket and fantasy sports in general, I don't care what any.
Yeah, I don't care very much either. I don't want to hear about your fantasy football team. Except on our show, the Johnny Bobo Show. You can call about fantasy football anytime you want.
Yeah, I don't care about fantasy. I don't care about people's fantasy teams. People tell me, I check out. I don't listen. I mean, it's pretty much like listening to a woman talk. I don't listen. Or with their brackets. Yeah, with somebody's brackets, like their 15 brackets. Oh, in this pool, if Wichita State goes to this round, I'm going to win $25. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care at all.
I know, right? That's the problem with being the known sports guy, though. You hear about all the things that you really don't care about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's terrible. And I always, I try to tell people I don't care, but they think I do care, and it's awful.
Yeah. No, really. Right, really. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was actually going to go to break, but what were you going to say?
Do it. No, I was just going to play a little joke. I was going to say, when people come out to you and start just rambling on and on and on about who they picked on their fantasy team, how their draft went, and it's like, dude, I don't care. I think you're joking, but I'm like, no, really, I'm not joking. Like, I just don't care.
Too many women win fantasy sports leagues, and too many women win NCAA tournament brackets for me to take it seriously. That's my problem. And we're going to go
to get other people involved. You know what I mean? Other people that wouldn't naturally be interested in the sport. And it does. Like, I'll admit, for football, it doesn't make it more entertaining for myself. But I'm not going to go out here and talk to everybody who's on my fantasy team because they really don't care either. It's just like Little League baseball records for like coaches. Your wife, your girlfriend, your friends at work. No one cares what your Little League record is. Just go out there and coach the kids. You don't act like a lunatic and yell at them.
I could not have said that better myself. All right, we're going to go ahead and take our first break. We'll be right back here to actually talk real sports, not complaining about sports, here on the Bob Sullivan Show with Johnny Malores.
You, it's a good life. It's a good life. It's a good life. Things you take more than you give, running around trying to find what's left of me. Just fine, though I am broken still. I'll find a way to climb up out of the snow. I'm taking bets on what happens next for us. And one day you will find that I'm doing fine without you. 'Cause you take more than you give. Running around trying to find my peace sun. Roll up the snacks for us. Cause you take more than you give. I'm running around trying to find my pieces. You take more than you give. Running around trying to find what's left of me. You take more than you give. I'm running around trying to find my pieces. You take more than you give. Running around trying to find what's left of you. Take more than you give. I'm running around trying to find my pieces. You take more than you give. Running around trying to find what's left of me.
Baby, you're a mystery. Tell me what's a girl gotta do? Looking at the history doesn't seem to give any clue. Just when I think I understand it all, you seem to unravel some more. Ooh, la, la, ooh, I never know nobody like you. Ooh, la, la, ooh, now I know you're an enigma. Ooh, la, yeah, you keep me guessing, I'm confessing now, well, baby, it's true. I never know nobody like you. Baby, you're an enigma. Baby, you're a riddle, I'm caught up in the middle of you. I'm trying to think bigger, but I can't seem to figure it through. I wanna make it better, but now I'm scared of looking a fool. Oh, baby, no, I've never been very good at playing it cool. Just when I think I understand it all, I find I know nothing at all. I never know nobody like you. Now I know you're an enigma. Yeah, you keep me guessing, I'm confessing now, baby, it's true. I never know nobody like you. Baby, you're an enigma. Baby, you're an enigma.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
There's a reason his initials are BS. It's the Bob Sullivan Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
I was walking down the street when out the corner of my eye I saw a pretty little thing approaching me. She said, I never seen a man who looks so all alone. Or could you use a little company?
Welcome back to the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. I am joined again by Johnny Maloris, host of the Johnny Babo Show, here tonight. Johnny, it's really quick before we get into baseball. It's Girl Scout cookie season.
Oh my God, yes.
Do you, one, I assume you order. Two, what's on your order list when you get them?
Oh man, I gotta get some of those Samoas, obviously, the Thin Mints. Those are smaller cookies now, so it's easy to go through one of those little packages. You know what I mean? But no, those gotta be the favorite. That was at my 30th birthday party that everybody threw for me. It was great. One of the things they made was a Samoa like cheesecake. Oh my God, it was out of this world. I work with some awesome people at this one coffee shop that can just bake things that are just crazy.
Well, I at work the other night, I was in the break room. I had a bottle of milk and a sleeve of peanut butter sandwiches, and this idiot who I work with, who I don't like, he asked me if he could have one of my peanut butter sandwiches. I had like 6 left, and I said no. Girl Scout cookies are not for sharing. They are get your own box, $3.50, and that's it. There's no. This is not be nice time. This is you're on your own. They come out once a year. This is not a time to be sharing. Get your own box and
Such a greedy guy.
out of my way.
You are such a greedy guy, dude. I share everything. I'll share my cookies, man.
They're Girl Scout cookies. You can't just walk into the store and get the same thing. You just can't. I mean, I know they have the knockoffs
and they're
now.
gold.
Yeah, so go buy your own box for $3.50 if you want one. Don't bother me about asking me to share and looking at me like I'm the jerk.
Yeah, there needs to be like a mutual trade-off. Girl Scout cookie for Girl Scout cookie. That would be a fair trade-off, I think.
Yeah.
Are those the only kind you like, though? The peanut butter sandwiches?
No, I get the peanut butter patties, the chocolate ones, and then caramel delights, which are the ones with the coconut. And
they used to be Samoas.
Thin Mints, I think, are a tad overrated. They're good, but too many people are like, "Oh, that's number one." I mean, it's kind of like the Big Mac. It's like the Big Mac on McDonald's menu. It's not. I mean, it shouldn't be the staple there.
Dude, what if they eliminated one of those cookies? Will people not just freak out?
I would kill somebody. I mean,
there would be such an uproar.
And they canceled. Well, they still have the shortbread, which I think is underrated. The one of the box. But they've canceled some over the years, like Ole Ole's. I was a fan of those. There was one with like
what are those?
They're like a cinnamon cookie.
Okay.
With icing, and then there was one with like a raspberry filling on top that I liked.
Those are gross. Those are gross. No wonder they got rid of them.
Yeah, well, I liked them. Everything I like is discontinued or has 10 wins in an NBA season.
Well, stop liking bad things. Stop talking basketball. Basketball is bad. Those cookies are bad. Like good things,
Okay.
Bob.
Well, let's talk about something that's absolutely awful, and that's Major League Baseball.
Baseball's awesome.
I'd rather watch paint dry.
Go right ahead, man.
I'd rather watch paint dry on a wall after a serial killer's trying to cover up blood.
It's coming from a guy that coaches baseball, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Hey, I like coaching it. I just don't like watching it. Which, coincidentally, I have to watch it. But with this Chris Bryant fellow from the Chicago Cubs that we've been talking about for years, what do you think the Cubs should do? Should they pinch pennies and wait till June or whatever to bring him up, or do you think they should bring him up right away and plug him right in?
Yeah, that's a really tough call. I mean, they have that relatively strict innings limit and that bat limit that they want these guys to see in the minor leagues before they bring them up. That was kind of something that Jed and Seal Epstein had talked about in length when they first took over the ball club. So it will be interesting to see what happens because, I mean, this is a guy where, he's going to be able to drive the ball to all fields, great arm. He's pretty athletic, so he'll probably be able to handle a third base gig. And that's obviously, a position of need for the Cubs at the moment because I'm not sure if Mike Olt, is really the guy that they had envisioned when they, ended up acquiring him. He had the eye issue, and then it doesn't seem like he's going to be able to turn it around. So we'll see what Olt's going to do, and I think they're still kind of interested to see what's going to happen with him because right now, they have a lot of depth at a lot of these positions, in the minors. So it's, trying to figure out where these guys are going to be able to, ultimately fit positionally. Because right now, as high as everybody is on Chris Bryant, everything I'm hearing right now is that Kyle Schwarber is a beast. And so right now, I don't know if he's going to be able to handle it, as a catcher. He's doing a lot of work to make it as a catcher, and so we'll see. But, he's a legitimate talent. But at the moment, I think when it comes down to Bryant, the power that he has, obviously all this guy does is hit home runs. I say bring him up now, but, if you have to wait till, June, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I'm not sure that, obviously they feel like they're going to be in contention and they expect to, to at least, give a run at the wild card here. But, I think it's something you still need to kind of let develop a little bit. Let him go into the season and just call him up because you do want to see what Mike Olt has. You're already going to have Jorge Soler up here, again with Miguel Montero now. That's a great addition. Starlin Castro, I expect him to have a better year again. I think he's going to keep, kind of riding high here. And same thing with Anthony Rizzo. And then, it's all about how, Javier Baez is going to pan out. So they got a lot of prospects right now with the Cubs. A lot of guys are kind of just waiting to see how it kind of works out before they call these guys up because, Chris Bryant's right there. Schwarber's not going to be far behind him. Same thing with Addison Russell. These guys are almost about ready.
Looking at the St. Louis Cardinals, I mean, you look, it's kind of like the Patriots where, they kind of, I mean, the Patriots have played possum so far in free agency, and then something's just going to happen with the Patriots where, they're going to do something nobody sees coming. The Cardinals still kind of playing, they didn't really do it much this offseason. Do you see them, are they still the class of the American League or the National League Central? And which of the other four teams do you think's the biggest threat to them right now?
Yeah, I mean, St. Louis, they end up kind of, doing a couple different things with their rotation where, they're going to move Carlos Martinez in there. It sounds like he's actually changing his number to 18 in honor of, Jose Tavares. He ended up wearing 44 last year, but right now he seems like a strong pick to be the fifth starter at the moment. I think adding a guy like Jason Hayward is going to do great things. So, I mean, not necessarily the need to make a bunch of moves this offseason. They did see a few departures, but didn't make, a ton of ads. Brought in Jordan Walden and Matt Belzile, and also Marcus Hatley. But when it really comes down to it, Jason Hayward was their best acquisition. So, I mean, he's going to be a great two-hitter for them. I think if they move him any lower in the order, he might have a little bit more opportunity to hit some, drive some more runs in, which would really help him. But, overall, I think it's a pretty good lineup, because you have Matt Carpenter leading things off. Really good on-base guy, kind of fell off a little bit last year, but I think he'll be able to pick it up. And then you also look, they're probably going to end up trying to flip platoon with Matt Adams at first base. I think, against some of the really good lefty starters, you might see him sit a little bit. But, when it comes down to it, I think it's a really good lineup, really consistent starting pitching, in their middle relief as well. And so you kind of look at those things. I think, they're probably one of the teams to beat. In terms of, their toughest competition, it's kind of, seeing what's going to happen with Pittsburgh now. I really like a lot of the things that they were kind of able to do, in the offseason. Again, they're a team that wasn't, extremely active. But I think they're in a good spot right now, because, you finally give Harrison a chance to be a regular. You also have Starlin Marte, who I think is, going to be ready to make that next step. So, probably, you're going to be looking at Pittsburgh as one of those teams, hopefully at least Neil Walker's healthy. Pedro Alvarez makes a healthy transition and, hopefully smoothly to first base because that was a guy that really lacked his power last year and it kind of hurt him. And so if he can get back on the train and start, hitting for a little bit more power, that'll be good. But when it really comes down to it, I'm not really, too sure about how Milwaukee's going to do. not completely sold on them just yet because at the moment they have Jonathan Lucroy. He's a little bit ahead of schedule. I'm expecting now Ryan Braun to finally come back to normal after all the post steroid stuff. A big part of that was I think he didn't necessarily struggle because of all the pressure. I think a lot of it was because of the fact that he had a bum thumb for pretty much 2 years, and anybody that swung a baseball bat knows that thumbs are crucial to they're going to be very painful. You know what I mean? Like when you're taking your swings, and so I think that screwed him up a little bit. You'll see him come back, and then you have Adam Lind, so he'll help them out a little bit now at first base. And so that's a guy that just kills right-handed pitching, and so that'll be a good addition for them because they're probably going to platoon there. But I think if anything, that was one of the positions that they probably should have went a little bit harder at was finding that steady first baseman. And then when it really comes down to it, man, I think the Cubs, they're going to have a good shot. I'm not expecting. Maybe I do expect a couple good things to come out of the Cincinnati season because we'll see, how the whole Billy Hamilton thing pans out. If he's able to kind of add a little bit more to his on base percentage, if he can kind of get on base a little bit more, in terms of getting some more walks. Anything this guy hits on the ground, he's going to be able to reach first. And so you're going to see bounce back years from Joey Votto. Same thing with Jay Bruce. Those guys are both healthy. So I don't think they're going to be as bad of a team as they were last year. So if their offense can kind of keep up, you might see Cincinnati contend. But the Cubs, they're still in the mix as well. Obviously they made a bunch of transitions over the offseason here. And, we'll see how it all pans out, if it all starts to add up now or if it's going to take a little bit more time to develop. But overall, you're probably looking at St. Louis with Pittsburgh right behind them. And I think you'll probably see Cincinnati leapfrog Milwaukee, and maybe the Cubs are in the mix.
One of the most unfunny jokes done by the most unfunny people on ESPN is, it's an odd year, so the Giants won't win the World Series. What are some of your concerns with the Giants? And one of my concerns is the number of innings they put on Bumgarner last year doesn't always translate to a good year the following year. And then you look at, Kane, how is he going to bounce back? Kind of old. They're kind of old. And you look at losing Kung Fu Panda, who you hate, and, moving Vogelsong to the bullpen. Do you like the Giants right now? And are you going to be one of those unfunny people that is going to not take them because it's an odd year?
No, I'm just not going to take them because they did nothing to improve their offense whatsoever. It's basically, I was waiting for Saban to come up with a great move there, because this is a guy where he's one of the longest tenured GMs in all of baseball, and they have a lot of their front office has been in place for a long time, and they've always kind of had that direction, and they'll go for it when it's there to be had. But, they did it. They had no attempts. I mean, now you're looking at Hunter Pence. He's going to be out for a while now because with the fractured forearm. So he's going to be down 6 to 8 weeks. That's a huge piece of your lineup that you're just taking out right there. You'll see Adel Pagan. He came back. We'll see if Joe Panik's able to kind of keep steady, and improve on, his first, big time and first, cup of coffee here in the majors last year. Came in through and did pretty well in the playoffs for him. So, those are big, keys to, kind of making this offense move at the top of the order there. Because after that, you have Buster Posey. Posey's always been a really consistent guy, middle of the order hitter, really productive with runners in scoring position. So that's going to help them out. And same thing with Brandon Belt. He kind of took a step forward last year. We'll kind of see how it happens. I really don't think Casey McGee was the answer at third base with losing Sandoval there. So, again, that's going to be my biggest beef with that team is just not having enough offense.
Well, for fatness, it kind of does.
Yeah, well, I just can't believe that this guy just won't stay fit. You know what I mean? And it's not even like anyone's asking him to lose a bunch of weight. When he was just a little bit lighter, he was healthier, he was on the field more often, and he was hitting better. So, I mean, I don't know why you'd want to, get away from that. That was something that, made him a better ball player because his power dropped a little bit last year. He'll probably pick it up now, being in Boston. But, I just never really understood that whole situation with Pablo. But we'll see how it goes, man.
You are very high on the Baltimore Orioles right now. Explain yourself.
Explain myself? Why do I got to explain myself? Baltimore, they had a pretty good ball club. I mean, look at Buck Showalter. This is the first time this guy's been able to stay anywhere for more than 3 or 4 years. So, no, he's done a really phenomenal job with that team, and just the way he's able to coach, kind of push the buttons, in terms of, defensive replacements and the way guys are, able to hit. So, you expect a healthy season from Machado. Same thing from Wieters. If you even get, any kind of rebound from Davis, that's going to be great. He actually got his prescription approved by the MLB, so that's going to help. The really only big loss they had was Nelson Cruz and Nick Markakis. Markakis wasn't healthy enough to stay in the lineup, nor is he able to get in the lineup right now with Atlanta because he's hurt again. Those are all, pretty good pieces for them. That's why I don't think they made as many offseason moves as people were expecting. And so, yeah, I mean, they have a great rotation. It's nothing, none of those guys are really going to blow your socks off, but they're all really solid pitchers. And then you're probably going to see Dylan Bundy come up, at some point. So we'll see what he's able to add to the mix. And with the bullpen that they have, and like I said, the way Showalter is able to work it, that's a tough team to beat here. I guess I think you're going to be surprised with how well Baltimore does, even though their lineup isn't the greatest.
With Crush Davis, is there anybody with the more obnoxious thing of chew in their mouth in baseball?
I know. I thought that wasn't allowed. Like there's got to be. You must have some excuse for that. That can't actually be true.
I mean, it must. It's possible. Maybe he mixes a little big league chew in with it, but yeah, I mean that's just so. I mean that thing's a crater. That thing's huge. I mean it's like half of his cheek is sticking out there, and I mean, after the whole Tony Gwynn thing last year, there was all these people talking about how they're going to quit. Meanwhile, Chris Davis has the biggest thing of chew in his mouth the rest of the season. I mean, it's like, yeah. I'll be good.
There are other alternatives out there. I've switched to the coffee grounds, the grinds. So I've been dipping with those things, and then there's Tiza. Tiza's out there. There's a tea brand, and there's also I think it's like Joe's Mint Chew or something. But the tea one and the coffee one kind of pitch energy. Yeah, that one, Jake's. Yeah, they pitch the fresh breath aspect to it. But I don't know. There's other options out there if you're superstitious like I am, and you have to do it.
I did I'm doing it right now. But with Jake's Chew, I got a can of it, and it's not good.
It's not good?
No, it's no good. I mean, it's good for you, but it's not. It just kind of like it just doesn't stay in one place. It kind of, when you spit, there's too much of it comes out of your mouth. I mean, it's just not. I don't.
See, you gotta go with the pouches, man. I go with the pouches. Quit being a cowboy.
Yeah, if I had it my way, Jake's Chew would make pouches in my, but I don't think they've reached that kind of technology out there. And
you need to make the switch, sir.
So there's my advertisement. Jake's Chew. It's not very good.
Well, that's unfortunate. You need to try grinds because they're good stuff.
So you do coffee grinds.
What about them?
That's what you do right now.
Yeah. I love espresso, and I do the coffee grind pouches just because good flavor. You know what I mean? You can swallow the stuff, and obviously it's encouraged because that's where you're supposed to get your energy from out of it. But no, I still spit. I still use it like regular dip. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's more so just a habit, and just kind of having that. For me, like I said, it's kind of started off as a superstition thing and just kind of never went away.
Well, and it's something to do. I mean,
exactly. And I'm
Yes.
not killing myself anymore. Hopefully.
Well, Johnny, before I let you go, do you want to tell everybody where we can find you on Twitter, the internets, all that good
Yeah,
stuff?
absolutely. You can find me on Twitter at Maloris, MALIORIS. Otherwise, I'm putting all my writings and all my articles now are going to be at 87sportsfans.com because Keith Reeve is awesome like that and gave me a job as the lead MLB writer. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to cover a lot of that. I'm going to put up something about the NL Power Rankings today. And then I'm going to move on to maybe some 2015 milestones, some other things like that. Some things to look forward to. So, yeah, that's all going to be happening. You can find me there. You can also find me at the same hashtag or the same tag on Instagram. And find me on Facebook. I post a lot of stuff on Facebook rather than Twitter, unfortunately.
Yeah, Facebook, you're trying to give Mark Zuckerberg a run for his money on using Facebook the most.
Dude, but there's a lot of cool things. Like, not only videos and, like, any kind of informational articles, all sorts of good stuff you can find on there. But it is a way easier to use that rather than, make sure you find the right way to post something in 160 characters and logging into different apps and things. It's a pain, really. They need some kind of app that just social medializes everything or something. I don't know.
It's called Hootsuite.
It's called what?
Hootsuite. HOOT Suite. And
Wow.
I mean, you can.
There's a thing that does it?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't use it.
I'm going to have to look into that. That sounds like something that might work out well for me.
Yeah, and see, I'm advertising a bunch of stuff that's crap and stuff that's really good.
Yeah, maybe one of these days we'll get paid for it.
Yeah. All righty, Johnny. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and we'll talk again, I guess, Thursday, buddy.
Yeah, you got it. All right. Thank you, boys. Be good. Don't forget Johnny Bobo next Thursday, 9 o'clock, 9 to 11 Central Time.
Yeah, listen to us, because Johnny's professional, and I get out of control. It works. And we'll be right back.
It's a good mix.
Yeah. We'll be right back here on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Do you feel like everything you do just opens a door that'll make things worse? Does it seem like even if you try, the moral of the story goes and pisses him off? Maybe I could offer up an
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
There he goes again. It's the Bob Sullivan Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. I'm joined here in hour number 2 with Jameson Welsh of BelieveTheHypeNBA.com. Jameson, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right, man. Doing all right. It's another week gone by. It's been a really busy week, and things don't stop. We are headed to Utah on Wednesday, cover Jazz and Wizards. So, got a tournament coming up. Got a lot of things going on. Not a whole lot of time, but hey, that's how things go.
You had quite a busy week covering, or like the last 2 weeks with West Coast Conference, Mountain West, and Pac-12 tournaments all in Vegas. Which one of those tournaments was the most fun for you to cover?
You know what? As crazy as it sounds, the WCC was probably the funnest because you have a lot of small schools, but they all play a certain brand of basketball, and they all play Gonzaga tough, and BYU brings a different element in there since they're not a small school. So it's a lot of storylines that people don't know about or talk about. But the WCC was pretty cool. I actually like that one a lot. What it comes down to is the WCC, with Gonzaga being so highly ranked, you have a lot of media people there and whatnot. But I mean, BYU has a lot of fans. But Gonzaga brought the whole state. Like, they brought everyone. So when you think about it, and you look at it from afar, it's like, wow, Gonzaga really has a large fan base because their whole gym was, the whole gym was pretty much 85% Zaga fans. So, but it was pretty fascinating to cover that. And it was pretty cool. But personally, I like that one. I like the Mountain West too. Mountain West is always fun. It's always competitive because there's not a lot. There's a lot of parity in that conference. There's no one dominant team. It's like the WCC that had a dominant team and everybody else was just fighting for whatever's left. In the in the Mountain West, and I told this to people on the radio on Wednesday. So don't be surprised if a 3 through 6 seed team this tournament wins it because there's a lot of parity and everyone plays each other well. That's what took place. I wasn't surprised that Wyoming won it. It kind of took place. So it was just fun to watch, honestly. It's a lot of good basketball, a lot of contrasting styles, a lot of good coaches in each conference, and just a lot of basketball, and also you get free food, so it's all good.
With, I find it interesting when I watch these conference tournaments when, I used to go to St. Louis a lot for when Creighton was in the Missouri Valley to watch the Missouri Valley tournament down there, and it was always interesting to me. I mean, Creighton, they're not Gonzaga, where they're ranked in the top 5 year in, year out, or in the top 10. They're not one of the better teams in the country. But when you went down to St. Louis, no matter how good or how mediocre Creighton was, it was everybody in that arena in Scott Trade Center against Creighton. But Creighton had the biggest following. And with Gonzaga, is that the same thing with the WCC tournament where there's just so much hate towards Gonzaga because they're the team that gets the most credit out of that conference?
Well, you gotta understand, their fans booked that trip in September and October. Like, they knew they were going to be there. Like, they knew they were going to be there for the full 4 days and whatnot. So I respect them, but there's not a lot to do in Spokane. So if you got a great team and you got to do what you got to do. If you got a great team, this may be their run, their final shot at making a large run at this thing. You got to go support them. So that's kind of the outlook of it. But they always travel well. But when they have a good team, similar to BYU, and BYU has a really good team, they travel well. With Gonzaga, they brought the whole city of Spokane. And it was pretty cool. It was pretty fun to watch them play and play live. I mean, they have a really good team. They're definitely a flawed team, but they're definitely a pretty good team.
BYU's fans, it's incredible how they travel as well. I mean, I know, Provo is not that far from Vegas, but I can't imagine the temptation for Mormons in Vegas. I mean, going from a city with zero temptation to a city with complete temptation. That's got to be tough. But like even when they would come up to Omaha to play Creighton, I mean, they're just, ton of BYU fans all the time. I mean, it's incredible how they travel all over the country. And I like the way the West Coast Conference has started to shape out. Adding BYU is huge. St. Mary's is always kind of a thorn in the side of Gonzaga. Is there any other team in that conference that you could see popping up over the next couple of years, even especially with St. Mary's having NCAA problems right now?
Well, St. Mary's always gave them a run. San Francisco, University of San Francisco always gives them problems. It plays them tough. They don't necessarily beat them, but they play them tough. Pepperdine plays them tough, but BYU has to be that team. And, I mean, we'll see, what takes place going forward. But, I mean, BYU has to be that team going forward. Other than that, all the other schools just aren't as talented. They don't have they don't recruit as well as BYU and Gonzaga does, so they really don't stand a chance on a consistent basis. They may get a game here and there, but they don't stand a chance when you stretch this thing out over the long haul. It's just not right for the action. That's just not what they're about. That's not what those schools are. Most of those schools are really good academic schools, and they may get one or two really good players that either transfer from somewhere else or that fell through the cracks. They're not getting McDonald's All-American types or multiple of those type of players. And if you're not getting those types, it's kind of tough to beat Gonzaga on a regular basis.
Do you enjoy conference tournament time? Because there's a lot of it's mainly the big conferences like the ACC and Pac-12 and conferences like that where teams will complain about having to play these games because it doesn't mean anything to them. But I mean, you see the pride in the mid-majors. Are you a fan of conference tournaments? Do you think it should just be?
Definitely. No, you got to keep them for a lot of reasons, man. The conference tournaments, it's the most exciting part, of the season up to that point. The conference tournaments, everyone has a shot. I mean, put it like this: Wyoming, who lost, for those that don't know about Mountain West basketball, which is a lot of people out there. Wyoming lost their best player in the middle of the season to mono, Larry Nance Jr., who's dad, Larry Nance, who was at the tournament yesterday. They lost him in the middle of the season for a bunch of games. And at the time they lost him, they were really good, and they were at the top of the conference. They were even projected to be in the 8th seed of the tournament, all that good stuff. They lose him for like 8 games or something like that. They obviously slipped to him as their best player, and another guy got hurt as well. So, they get everybody back, and they regroup, and they win their conference tournament. Now they get to go to the tournament. They have a bunch of seniors on that roster that get to experience the tournament. Like, it's a good thing. The conference tournament, I think, is really good. It's a good thing for basketball. We don't need to change or anything. It's a great thing for basketball. It's great. It's also great for the cities that these things are in, too, because the conference tournaments out here help out the economy a lot, especially Vegas has had some rough years as of late. And the conference tournament helps, when you have 4 conference tournaments here in a 10-day span, it helps out the economy a lot. It's a really good thing. So, no, it's a good thing, man. It's a very good thing. But the Pac-12 tournament is also really good. A lot of people don't, pay a whole lot of attention if it's not a UCLA or Arizona. But it's a really good tournament as well. Plus, you got to understand, people always want to come to Vegas. Any excuse to come to Vegas, people will make it happen. And that's why the tournaments out here are on a different level.
What do you think the best location is for a conference tournament? I mean, the Big East has MSG, which, I mean, it's not the same as it once was with, Syracuse and Pitt and UConn. But, I mean, it doesn't have the same atmosphere as it once did. But, I mean, where do you think the best location for a conference tournament is? Is it Vegas?
Well, yeah, right now it's Vegas because there's so many of them and there's so much going on. They're all close. Not like one's 50 minutes away from the other. Literally, the MGM and Thomas and Mack is like, without traffic, 5 minutes away, if not, less. So it's like literally it's on the same street. They're both on Tropicana. So it's like literally both on the same street in the same vicinity. So that's what makes it great. And then the Orleans is on the same street, just a little further down. So they're all in the same area. It's really cool. They have that much action going on in a small sort of area, but they still have really good venues. MGM had, I believe, like an attendance of, I think, 11,000 last night. Or no, I think like 11 or 12,000. The Thomas and Mack had a little bit over 10. So it was really cool. Like, it was a good event. It was a good turnout, and the fans really support. Arizona brought the whole damn state there last night. And that's another thing. People, when the Pac-12 tournament was in LA, no one came. It was empty. Staples was empty. Now it's in Vegas. It's always packed because people love going to Vegas, and they get to see their team play while they're at the party in Vegas. It's a win-win.
With do you think Vegas, with them making all the bidding all these bids on conference tournaments, do you think they're trying to make a run at an NBA team?
Well, they are, but it's not going to be that way. And it's going to be tough for Vegas to get an NBA team because the local economy isn't where it needs to be to have an NBA team. You need to have a really strong foundation. You got to be able to sell out, seats on a regular basis. If you can't sell out seats on a regular basis, you're going to have problems. And plus, there's other cities that are next in line that are closer to getting an NBA team than Vegas is at this point in time. And Seattle's next. Like we all know, Seattle is they should never lost a team, but they're next to get a team. So there we got to take and see. But the thing Vegas is going to get is once that new arena gets built up, that's behind the New York right now. That's going to be cool, and that's probably going to get a regional site for like Sweet 16 or the first second round game. So that'll be cool.
Was there any in the Mountain West tournament? The Mountain West tournament. Was there anything for Jerry Tarkanian?
There wasn't, which I was kind of surprised about, but we all know that without him, these tournaments aren't here. Like without Jerry Tarkanian, all these tournaments are elsewhere. Mountain West is probably in Denver somewhere, like it was the first few years. The Pac-12 is probably, and the Pac-12 tournament is probably in LA or Arizona or somewhere else, or in the Bay Area, like the football one is. So we all know, the people who live out here and they know his impact on, his impact with everything that's going on out here. We all know that his impact is at a certain level, and we appreciate it. I mean, like I said, when he passed, without him, there's no conference tournaments out here. There's a lot of things. I mean, there's no exhibition games out here during October. It's just totally different. So he changed the game for good, and unfortunately, he didn't get his just due because obviously he found the NCAA, and we know how that goes. But he's a guy that deserves a lot more respect and credit than he's getting.
Do you think the NCAA told the Mountain West to not do anything?
No, I don't think it's that serious. I really don't. I don't think it was like something of that nature. But when it comes down to it, Jerry Tarkanian was a guy that, like, you loved him or you hated him. Like, he wasn't a guy that you had mixed feelings on. He wasn't a guy that people felt sorry for, in a sense. You either liked him or you didn't. A lot of people didn't like him for various reasons. And, so it kind of rubbed people the wrong way. But also the conference that he was in changed so many different times. It's not like they were in the, let's say, the Pac-10 back in the day, and it's now the Pac-12, where you still have all the same teams in it. They were in, like, the Pacific West Conference and the WAC and whatnot. So that conference changed a lot of names. So a lot of those teams aren't even in this conference. So it's a totally different ballgame.
With it's funny it's funny with I keep bringing it up at the Missouri Valley. They do like Legends of the Valley, and it'll be like Oscar Robertson, who played at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's long gone out of the Valley, and they still talk about Harstad and Gallagher from Creighton, who, again, Creighton's not long gone, but they're gone, and it's just it's kind of like the whole thing with, okay, who gets the records for the Cleveland Browns? And, when they say franchise record for the Ravens, technically you could include Jim Brown from the Browns with that because it's still the same franchise, even though, the Cleveland Browns are back. That's a new franchise. And, it's kind of funny to me how that all works and how they assess records and whatnot nowadays because of all the switching of everything.
Well, it's weird because, like, for instance, the Science are, like, defunct, but if a team moves back to Seattle, that team acquires all the Science records. So it's a weird situation how that how that goes. It's a very, 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 very weird situation. But it's just kind of how it goes, man. It's things change and teams change, and that's the nature of the beast. It's unfortunate because we know that sometimes change isn't always good, and we know the business side kind of messes things up. But that's kind of how it goes. There's gonna be a time where there's gonna be more changes and people won't like it. But hey, that's people gotta get over it and keep it pushing.
Why do you think? I think Steve Fisher is one of the best coaches in college basketball, and I know that since he's at San Diego State, not everybody watches, but why do you think he doesn't get as much credit as he deserves? Because he's done great things at San Diego State. He was a great coach at Michigan as well. Do you think that he gets dogged when best coaches in college basketball gets brought up?
Well, I mean, he has a glaring flaw. Like, he's a really good coach, and I said this yesterday. His biggest credit right now is getting very talented players to stay in college multiple years, because he's recruited very well over the last couple of years. Like, he's got McDonald's All-American type guys, and he's got them to stay multiple years, which is very rare these days. A lot of guys are jumping the first time they get to the NBA, and he has a guy that right now, Malik Pope, who's probably the most pro-ready guy in his squad. And you know what? I mean, he may get him to stay, and I think that's Steve Fisher's greatest thing is getting all those guys to stay and buy into the program, because a lot of young guys don't. But also at the same time, he has not been able to coach a successful offensive squad. He's had problems maintaining offense and getting that part of his team to a level where his defense, because the defense is probably a top 5 defense in the country. It's really good. But if your offense is a bottom 20 offense in the country, then you're going to have problems, because eventually someone's going to score over 60 points in the game on you. It's just how it goes. Someone gets hot, things happen, whatever. You can't win a bunch of 55, 52 games. You just can't. So if his offense can ever get to a decent level, he has a really good chance. But it's just time and time again we've seen that that's just not going to happen.
Looking at the Pac-12 tournament, Arizona, I mean, we had this conversation earlier in the season about how Arizona is kind of like Gonzaga, where, there's not, you can be all excited right now early in the season, but there's nothing to sink your teeth in at the end. They're gonna flame out before the Final Four. With Arizona right now, do you think they're the most talented team in the West Coast? And number two, well, obviously they are, but number two, do you think that they are that team that's going to be the most talented team that doesn't make the Final Four this year?
Well, they're the best program on the West Coast, basketball program, when it comes to getting talent, getting guys to the league, being consistent team each and every year. You don't have to worry about, they're going to be some sort of contender each and every year. Like UCLA, they've had a lot of good years recently, but they've had a lot of bad years as well. Other schools, San Diego State and Gonzaga, have had good years, but they haven't been consistent. Arizona has been a consistent top 10, top 15 team for a very long time now. So you got to say they're the best program on the West Coast at the moment. I will say that this year, and watching them play, they have a different level they can go to. They have a different level that, that other teams just don't have. Their talent overwhelms you. They have bigs that can play. They got smalls that can play. They got wings that can play. They got a lot of guys that can play, man. And they just come at you in waves and in droves. I watched the UCLA game, and UCLA pretty much outplayed them for like the first half, maybe even the first, I would say, 25 minutes of the game. But, Arizona just went on a run, and the next thing you know, 7-point game, and then Arizona just pretty much took over the game. And, UCLA has a decent team. I don't think they're a tournament team per se, but, that's kind of how it goes. But, they hung in there. But Arizona just has so many different guys, so many different ways they can beat you. They have a really talented roster, and it'd be a shame if they don't get to the Final Four, because you can make an argument that after Kentucky, they're the next best team.
Do you think Steve Alford's the right guy for UCLA?
No, I don't. I didn't like the hire when it was made. If you're going to be the coach of the UCLA Bruins, you got to be able to recruit Southern California. if you can't recruit Southern California well, and you're allowing Arizona and San Diego State and other programs to come into your territory and get the best kids out of here, then you know what? You have issues. And that's something that Ben Howell, now is his undoing. And that's why the latter part of his, his reign there was pretty much he couldn't get the best kids out of L.A. and out of Southern California area. And that's just kind of how it goes, unfortunately. If you can't get the best talent out of your own area, your own neighborhood, it's just not going to work. And as of right now, Steve Alford has failed to do that. And he also takes a lot of big swings and misses on national guys. And when you get national guys, it's tough because that's a totally different situation. You're pretty much, when it's a local guy, you have a lot more clout in more situations than you do national guys. So when it comes to Steve Alford, I just don't see him being the guy I trust the program long term. He's a solid coach. I don't think he's a bad coach at all. Definitely don't think he's a bad coach at all. But when I look at Steve Alford, I don't think that's the guy that's going to take you to the promised land. I think that's the guy that'll get you to the tournament, probably get you to a round or two. He's not going to get you to that Elite Eight. I don't think he's that Elite Eight and beyond guy. I just don't see it.
When he was at Southwest Missouri State, there was bad blood between him and Dana Altman when he was at Creighton. Has there been any bad blood between him and Altman since he's taken over at UCLA and Altman at Oregon?
Not that I know of. Not that I know, not that I've heard of. That's actually a good question. I can definitely ask people about that. But, no, when it comes to I think Dana Altman's done a hell of a job. I mean, his team is not that good. But he has the Pac-12 Player of the Year and Joe Young that got to Oregon, and he's done very well. Dana Altman's done a hell of a job there, especially for a school. It's pretty much a football school. He's done very, very well there, and will be a pretty good team in the tournament as well. But I put it this way: if UCLA had Dana Altman instead of the guy they have now, they'd probably be a much dangerous team. I'll put it that way.
Well, I don't. Altman, he's one of those guys that recruits to his coaching strengths, and he's not getting wild athletes or anything. With you could argue that Oregon had better players before Altman got there, but with I think he's a good coach. He knows what his strengths are. He's got a good assistant coach in Kevin McKenna. And, they do things kind of blue collar there, which I think would help if he was at UCLA.
Well, I'll put it this way. At UCLA, it's a totally different gig because you got to understand there's a certain level that the fan base and the alumni expect you to play at and expect you to perform at. And if you cannot get talent that's going to other schools on the West Coast and other schools in general, then you're going to have problems. You can't allow other schools like Arizona, San Diego State, UNLV, even though they're not a good basketball program at this time. You can't allow those schools to come and take the best players in your area. That just can't happen. Just cannot. And that's what's taking place. So the X's and O's also is a good coach, but at certain schools, you got to have the perfect package. You got to be able to coach and recruit. If you can't do both, then you're in trouble.
Well, we're going to go ahead and take our first break here. We'll be right back here with Jameson Welsh of BelieveTheHypeNBA.com. Talk a little bit more college basketball, talk tournament brackets, and we'll be right back here on the LateNightSportsRadio.com.
See, I want you to so far away. I know. Can't walk away from the things you say, the things you say, yeah, the price you pay for love. Can't walk away from the things you say, yeah, the price you pay for love. No. Can't walk away from the things you say, yeah, the price you pay for love. Can't walk away from the things you say, yeah, the price you pay for love.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Ready? 1. You will do this 4 times with the left, 4 with the
He's not compensating for anything. He just doesn't care. It's the Bob Sullivan Show on latenightsportsradio.com.
Welcome back to the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. I am joined by Jameson Welsh of BelieveTheHypeNBA.com to talk some college basketball here. Jameson, NCAA tournament brackets. Are you a one bracket guy, or do you pick multiple? Have multiple brackets with multiple teams winning? 12-5 or what? Or do you just stick to one bracket and multiple pools?
It depends on the year and it depends on what's going on. Like, honestly, this year's so busy with things that I'll probably just do a bracket, and that'll be it. And I'll have Kentucky winning it all, and I'll go based off that with a bunch of upsets in early rounds. But yeah, usually sometimes it just really depends. But as of now, I'm just a 1 or 2 bracket guy. Not a whole lot of time to do all that stuff. Back in the day, though, I used to be a couple bracket guy, be in contests and all that stuff. But now, it's just 1 bracket guy.
With the tournament, we were talking about this off air. How crazy is it? I mean, I'm, without Creighton or Nebraska in it, I don't really have a rooting interest. I'm rooting for Kentucky to go undefeated. But how insane is it that people are going to probably there's going to be a lot of people checking out if Kentucky loses early or loses at some point before the Final Four. Do you remember a time like this where there's just, things wavering on one team, the interest of this tournament wavering on one team?
The last Florida year, the 2007 year, it was similar, because pretty much, they were the heavy favorites and people knew they were kind of going to win it. So everything was geared towards that, and that was the storyline. I think the 2009 Carolina team was kind of similar, but for the most part, it was, it was very similar in that regard. It was, a team that had accomplished a lot, had a lot on the line, and, that's the storyline. No one talks about everything else, but I will say this. Wisconsin made it to the Final Four last year as well, and they're a very good basketball team, and they were really a shot away from beating Kentucky. So they shouldn't be slept on. They really should not be slept on. They're a team that should be taken a lot more seriously, in my opinion.
Is there the matchup I want to see, and I'm sure a lot of people want to see, is Duke-Kentucky because, obviously Kentucky's undefeated and Duke's beaten pretty much, all the other best teams in college basketball with Wisconsin, with Virginia, Carolina twice. Is there another matchup out there that you want to see? Kentucky, is it Wisconsin? And if there's another one out there besides those two?
I haven't looked at the brackets that much as of right now. I usually look at it during the week. But an Arizona Kentucky match would be awesome because now you got NBA players playing against NBA players, and you got a lot of talent on the court just scoring at full speed at a higher rate. That'd be a good matchup. I think that, talent-wise, that's a good matchup. Other than that, I mean, Wisconsin, Kentucky would be good because you got two good coaches going at it. Bo Ryan's going to slow it down a little bit, so it would be an interesting matchup. But if I had my money on it, I would like to see Arizona, Kentucky, because now you got a bunch of NBA players, you got a lot of talent, and you got some guys that play at a high rate and a high pace. So it'd be good to see. It'd be really good to see.
With Kentucky, do you think that they suffer from college basketball being down? If they go undefeated, they're obviously going to get enough talk from ESPN, but do you think when we look back on it, people are going to dog them for how down college basketball is this year?
Oh no, they go 40-0. It's 40-0. I mean, you go 40-0. That's impressive, man. When you go 40-0, you've done something right. When you go 40-0, that's something that no one can take away from you, no matter what state of college basketball is. I mean, if you want to go that route, then you got to go back to back in the day when UCLA had, 5 Hall of Famers on their teams, and Kentucky had all those great teams and whatnot. You're not going to do that. It's just not fair. You got to appreciate what those teams did under those circumstances. And from what we've seen, from the Kentucky team, if they win 6 more games, and this isn't the best Kentucky team. That's the crazy part. Like, this is under Coach Cal, it's probably the 3rd best Kentucky team. I think the team with Anthony Davis was the best one. I think the team with Boogie Cousins and John Wall was the 2nd best team. It just had a cold shooting half, and next they're out of the game. But in my opinion, I think that when it comes down to it, I really, really, really think that if this team goes 40-0, it'll be very something special. It'll give some people to talk about because people have been down on college basketball for a while now, and that's kind of a huge issue. It's kind of something that would help the game out a lot more, and it also make Coach Cal more respected in the coaching ranks, in my opinion.
Do you think there's any? I mean, I think Wichita's in Kentucky's bracket. Would you like to see a rematch of that game from last year? Obviously, you're not going to have no Clay Anthony early, but I mean, you still got Ron Baker, Van Fleet, Cale Cotton. Would you like to see a rematch of that in the Elite Eight?
It would be a cool rematch. Wouldn't mind seeing that. Also, you got to understand, Wichita and Kansas is a huge, huge potential second-round matchup because Kansas has not signed on to play Wichita State. They did not want that matchup. And no one's talking about that. That's going to be a huge thing that's gone on over the last 2 years. Wichita State has said, we'll play you anytime, anywhere. Kansas has politely declined. So if they match up in the second round, that'll be very, very good matchup.
That's going to be awesome here in Omaha if that happens. If with Kansas, see, it's the same thing with I mean, obviously they have more to lose than to gain from that matchup, but I mean they should have to play that game. I mean, what's the they play enough crappy teams in non-conference to get by. Why would it hurt to sign on with a Wichita State? I know what it would hurt, but just sign on and play them. I mean, it's the same thing with, I mean, look at in the state of Iowa, they force Iowa and Iowa State, obviously not on the same level as Kansas, but those two have to play Drake in Northern Iowa. There's there's something to lose, but I mean, it's in state. Just play the game for God's sakes.
I feel you. I'm with you. But Kansas I think Kansas fans and as a program, I think their arrogance is more than any. I think they have their fan base has an amount of arrogance that's very alarming. And they're a great program. And they'll be a top 5 program in the country when you think of everything considered with their tradition and constant winning and all that. They're definitely a top 5 program, but their arrogance as a program is kind of sick in my opinion. I think it's ridiculous. And yes, they have a great program and great tradition, all that stuff, but sometimes, it wouldn't kill them to play Wichita State, even if it's on a neutral site. Even if it's a neutral site, it wouldn't kill them, but they don't want to do that. So you know what? I'm glad Wichita State is having the success they are.
Kansas has, they got their block destroyed against Kentucky. Do you think it's in their best interest. I mean, obviously, it's not in their best interest to lose to Wichita State, but I wouldn't want to play that game again if I was Kansas. Play against Kentucky again.
Yeah, that's not a good matchup for them. First of all, this is not a good Kansas team. It's not one of the old Kansas teams that was pretty good. They always got hot late and all that stuff. It's not a good Kansas team at all. It would not, like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if they went out in the first two rounds. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they lost to a 15 seed this year. This would not. They just don't look like those same old Kansas squads. They don't look that good. So personally, if I'm looking at them, I'm not taking them seriously as a contender. I just don't think they're good enough. I just don't.
Yeah, I know this year Villanova has been really good out of the Big East, but you know the Big 12 has been really good. And I mean, you look at. Do you think the biggest problem with the Big East is they don't have a Kansas or a Kentucky? You know, they don't have a blue blood in that conference.
Well, the problem with the Big East is that they lost so much. If you understand, the Big East lost its heart and soul. You know, they lost all those schools, the UConn, and Syracuse, Pitt. When you lose the schools that have been with you since day one, and you really don't replace them with anyone of that same nature, it's tough, man. It's really tough. It's not fair to those schools that came in and replaced them. Like, as good as Creighton is, you know, it's a hell of a program. It's a good basketball program, but it's not Syracuse, UConn, or Pitt, or BC, or any of those schools. It's not. It's just not. And it's not fair, but, you know, hey, it's kind of how it is. It's never going to be the same. Like, it's never going to be. The Big East is done forever. Like, it's never, ever going to be the same. But at the same time, we should appreciate some of the schools that are in there because it's a lot of, you know, good, talented schools that play hard, and we should appreciate that. But in terms of the Big East, that's just an unfortunate situation that's never going to be again.
Do you see a team out of the Big East other than Villanova that has a chance to make a deep run?
I'm sorry, repeat that one more time, please.
Do you see a team out of the Big East other than, I mean, Villanova's obviously probably got the best chance to make a deep run, but is there another team out of the Big East that you could see, maybe a Georgetown with Josh Smith and Smith Rivera, or a potentially maybe a Butler or Xavier? Do you see anybody else out of the Big East making a deep run?
If Georgetown can get out of round one, they have a chance. They haven't gotten out of round one in a while. If they can get out of round one, they have an awesome chance. You know, I like them a little bit. But you know what? When it comes to the Big East, I mean, Villanova's still the best team, and they're the team that needs to prove something. I mean, Jay Wright is a really good coach. I actually like Jay Wright as a coach. I think he's a solid coach. But you know, he's the guy that needs to get to a Final Four again. He hasn't been to one, and I think it's the 7th year since I think it was 09 was the last Final Four he went to. So he's the guy that needs to get it together. But going forward, you know, we'll see. But I like Villanova. To mention noise in Georgetown. Sorry, Georgetown to me is a team that, you know, hey, that's a team that if they can get past round one, they can do some damage. So they present matchup problems and style problems for a lot of teams.
Villanova, do you think that they could cause trouble for Kentucky, or do you think that they would get their block destroyed like most of the rest of the teams in this tournament?
Well, when it comes to playing Kentucky, the only team that's going to beat Kentucky is a team that has different waves. Like, you got to be able to match their output. You got to be able to match their runs. You got to be able to match their energy. And they about Kentucky, they're so deep. They hit you with so many different waves. I don't see just a random team being able to match them. I just think that there's just so many teams that are so good and that play so much. It's just very difficult. You know, it's tough. It is tough.
Who do you think the best pro prospect on Kentucky is?
Towns. Carl Anthony Towns is the best prospect. If you're trying to forecast the future and who's going to be the best player off this team in 5 years or 10 years, I'll take Towns. Now, Cauley Stein's going to be a hell of a player. He's a guy that's going to start from day one, and he's going to be an impactful player from day one because he can rebound a lot of shots. His offensive game is a little bit better than expected. But when I look at this team and I say, who's the best guy, who's the guy that can be an all-star? It's Carl Anthony Towns. He's the guy.
Do you think John Calipari gets enough credit whether he cheats or not, that's to be debated. But with this, the way the one and done is done now, and I mean, obviously, a lot of the guys came back from last year's team, and he had to do the platoon system. Things kind of got messed up with that, with Paulie Crest going down. But do you think he gets enough credit for what he's done in this one and done age and embracing it and being able I know he has a lot of talent. There's no question about that. But to be able to manage the personalities the way he's done, do you think he gets enough credit for that?
No, he doesn't, and that's the thing people understand. There's a lot of coaches that have top 5 and top 10 recruiting classes around the country. The reason why you don't hear about them is because they don't mesh well. They don't. The talent doesn't mesh well. I'll do you one better. Out here in Vegas, Dave Rice put together one of the best recruiting classes in the school's history, and they're not playing postseason tournament. Not CBI, not NIT, not NCAA, nothing. So getting recruits. Yeah, it's a good thing. Getting a lot of talent's a great thing. But if you're not able to coach it well, and if you can't do certain things with it, then you know what? Hey, you're just another guy. And my thing is this: if you're a coach that gets talent, and that's what you do, you just want to assemble a bunch of talent. That works, but you also, excuse me, you also have to have juniors and seniors on your roster that can bridge the roster. You don't want to have a bunch of young guys that are talented. You got to have some guys that have been through tough conference games and been through some adversity. So when the young guys go through some adversity, it's not oh, wow, what do we do now? You have some guys, upperclassmen, that can guide them. And that's the thing that gets lost. A lot of these schools, they have these great freshman classes, but they don't do anything with them because they have no one on the roster to build and bridge the roster through because everyone's transferred or whatnot. The key is having a balanced roster, having 2 or 3 really good young players, having a bunch of sophomores and juniors and a couple seniors, and you go from there. And you got to give Coach Cal credit because he gets guys to buy in. They play defense first. Defense comes first, and that's huge. That's something that's very rare. That's what getting young players to contribute on defense first. That's the biggest testament to me, is getting guys that are great players that can go anywhere in the country to play defense first.
Who is your national championship matchup?
I haven't looked at the brackets yet. I want to say I know Kentucky's in there. I know Kentucky. I haven't looked at the other side of the bracket. I don't think – can they play Arizona in the championship, or is that the Final Four?
I think that's the Final Four. Okay, I haven't looked at the bracket either.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the bracket. I've glanced at the bracket, but I haven't looked at it. Kentucky's one of them. And I want to go on a limb and take like a team like a Michigan State or something like that. It's going to be we're going to see a team that's a 6, 7, or 8 team make a Final Four this year. Like, it's that kind of year.
Well, we'll be right back. We're going to talk some NBA before we wrap up the show here with Jameson Welsh. We'll be right back here on the Bob Sullivan Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Answering my cell, no emails or texts, no messages or texts. I leave the front door open for the people that I'm close to. Life short, we trying to get down like we supposed to. Scratch out all your plans, you got nowhere else to be tonight. Give it just a minute and I promise you'll see I'm right. Tell your people where it's at, if they don't know they're gonna find out. Forget about the past, cause in here there's only right now. We don't need the speakers on your stereo to dance to. We'll just stomp our feet and clap our hands if we have to. And if you fall, girl, I'll be the one to catch you. The beat is in your bones, you just gotta let it pass through. We don't need no choruses or words to write a song. I'll just tell you what I'm thinking and we both can sing along. And when you're lost, all you gotta do is find your way to my house. They won't be able to see us with the lights out. Come on. There's nothing left to do. Turn the lights out. Baby, what's wrong with you? Turn the lights out. All you gotta do is want a little bit more. Girl, just shut the door. Turn the lights out. There's nothing left to do. Turn the lights out. Baby, what's wrong with you? Turn the lights out. All we gotta do is find a place on the floor. Girl, just shut the door. Turn the lights out. We're gonna make sure everybody gets the message. Plug the sucker in, we're gonna make this night electric. It's ending when we're finished and it's starting when we're starting. Leave your problems back at home, cause yo, it ain't that kind of party. I wanna feel your skin, I wanna hear you laugh. I wanna touch your hips with no chit-chat distraction. You can grab my shirt, you can pull me real close, telling me there ain't a time that you've gotta be home. Cause tonight we're gonna act like every minute lasts a day. When you're this close to me, girl, the world is gonna have to wait. And everything you ever need is in this room, I got you. You don't ever have to leave, you can stay here if you want to. Dance till you sweat, scream until you see spots. Everybody's gotta have a piece of what we got. If you want it, all you gotta do is find your way to my house. They won't be able to see us with the lights out, come on. There's nothing left to do. Baby, what's wrong with you? All you gotta do is want a little bit more. Girl, just shut the door. There's nothing left to do. Baby, what's wrong with you? All we gotta do is find a place on the floor. Girl, just shut the door. Let's go. Nah, 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 nah. Let's go. Nah, 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 nah. Let's go. Nah, 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 nah. Let's go. Nah, nah, nah. Nah, 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 nah. Let's go. Nah, 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 nah. Let's go. Nah, 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 nah. Let's go. Nah, nah, nah. There's nothing left to do. Baby, what's wrong with you? All you gotta do is want a little bit more. Girl, just shut the door. There's nothing left to do. Baby, what's wrong with you? All we gotta do is find a place on the floor. Girl, just shut the door.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
There's a reason his initials are BS. It's the Bob Sullivan Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. I'd like to thank Johnny Maloris for being on in hour number 1, and Jameson Welsh here in hour number 2, and Keith Grief for producing the show. Jameson, NBA-wise, you know, the Indiana Pacers are playing pretty well, and they kind of have a, they're holding an ace in their hands if Paul George comes back. Do you think that they could, be a pro? If you're them, do you try to drop back to 8 and get Atlanta? Do you try to catch Milwaukee? What do you do if you're Indiana?
If you're Indiana, you stay at 7 because they play the Cavs better than most teams have. I know the Cavs had rested people and all that stuff versus them and have people out, but they play the Cavs tough. However you want to slice it, they have played the Cavs tough. Probably won't win that series, but they'll give the Cavs a tough 6 or 7 game series. That's just how it is. Frank Vogel always has a plan. He has guys that play against LeBron. For the most part, most of that team has a lot of playoff experience. And Rodney Stuckey isn't bad. Like, Rodney Stuckey's pretty good. Like, Rodney Stuckey's all right. Like, he's not a bad player. Like, he's had a really good year. He's in a contract year. He's had a really good year. So, the Pacers, I would stay at 7 because you're probably not going to get to 6 because the team that's at 6 has a winning record, and I don't think the Pacers are going to end up with a winning record. But stay at 7, play the Cavs, give them a tough series, and go from there. If you get Paul George back, great. If he's healthy, if he's 100% ready to go, you bring him back. If he's not, then you just let him wait till next season. There's no real big rush to bring him back.
Do you think that, I mean, there shouldn't be a rush to bring him back, but do you think there's that much of a risk to bring him back? Because it's not like he's coming back from a blown Achilles or it's not a ligament. I know how serious the broken leg was, but I feel like with a bone injury, it's less of a risk bringing him back than with a ligament issue. Do you agree with that?
Well, there's not a huge issue. As long as the bone is healed, it's just about him being in game shape at that point. Like, as long as if the bone is healed, he's okay. The key is it healed properly? Because you don't want to have to go through this for another 9 months. You don't want to have to re-break his leg and all that stuff. That's when things get out of control. But if the bone is healthy, then he's cool. But if there's an issue there, then that's when you have issues. So hopefully he's healthy enough. But I mean, hey, we'll see. I think we're gonna get a chance to see it. I think we're gonna get a chance to actually, I think he wants to come back. I think the organization doesn't want him. If you have $90 million invested in somebody, you want to make sure they're healthy enough for most of that. So I think they're going to try to, ease him back if possible. But we'll see.
With Atlanta, who do you think they would least like to see in the first round as an 8th seed?
I think the Raptors give them trouble, but they wouldn't play them in the first round. There's not a matchup that gives them problems. Like, honestly, Atlanta, they're a team that they're going to be okay. Like, I mean, if Bosh was healthy, and Miami was in that range, then I would say Miami. But all the teams at the bottom of the list, they're there for a reason. Like, all those teams are bad for a reason. I don't think Atlanta's losing sleep over anyone. If I'm Atlanta, I don't want to play Indiana because even though they'll beat Indiana, that's a grind out series, low scoring, and it's just a physical series. You don't want that. You want your first round series be 4-0, 4-1, move on to the next. You don't want to be going 6 or 7 games with people. You want to knock somebody out, move on to the next matchup.
I know that he's had problems in the last couple of weeks, and people have kind of cooled off on him. But are you as high on Hassan Whiteside as a lot of people are?
Whenever someone comes out of the blue like this, I like it. I have to root for it. I understand that NBA players don't always, play to their potential early, and a lot of people get down on them, including themselves. A lot of guys lose confidence early. And for a guy not to lose confidence and continue to get better, you gotta salute that. You gotta appreciate that because a lot of guys, they get down on themselves, and next thing you know, they're in the D League or Europe, and they never come back. So you gotta give him props for that. And also at the same time, you know what? He's been consistent. I mean, he's been solid. I mean, I'm not really cool on the antics, but I like what I see. I like the production. I like the rebounds and the blocks and the low post stuff. I don't like the shoves and the antics. He's got suspended for a couple of games as of late. Not a big fan of that. But when it comes to the production, I just think that when it comes down to it, you got like bigs that take the game seriously who get better because a lot of bigs they just try to get by on their athleticism or on their skill set and they don't get better. So I gotta give props to someone who takes the game seriously and is willing to improve their game. You gotta show appreciation for that.
With before we get to good teams, Detroit, they've seemed to find their new Josh Smith and Reggie Jackson, 1-10. Well, in games he's played. Why do you think that fit has been so bad so far?
Well, when it comes down to it, bringing in a point guard at the middle of the season is a very tough thing, especially with a guy that's not used to being the main guy, being the main point guard. That's a transaction you kind of want to make at the beginning of the season. Making that in the middle of the season, and then with expectations of trying to be a playoff team, it's a tough thing. It's a tough situation. And I think Reggie Jackson can play. I think he's a solid guy. I think he's a guy that can be a starting point guard in this league and be fairly well. I personally think that when it comes down to it, I'm a big fan of not making a lot of changes in season unless you absolutely have to. And I understand they had, Brandon Jennings and he got hurt and, some other options. But, man, you know what? Sometimes you don't want to make too many changes. The point guard position is the toughest one because the point has to do so much for a team and you have to know so many guys. To bring a guy like that in that has never really been a full-time starter at the point, bring him in and expect him to just catch it on, it's rather tough. I think if you get him under a full summer camp and off-season in that system, I think he'll be okay.
Looking at Golden State, do you who's the nightmare matchup for them in the first round? Do you think it is OKC? Do you think, with the way the Pelicans have been playing, do you think that they would be dangerous for them? Who do you think the nightmare matchup for them in the first round is?
When it comes to matchup, I don't think there's a bad matchup for Golden State in the first round. I don't think so. I'm not big on OKC because one, they just haven't been healthy, and if they're not going to be healthy and Kevin Durant's foot's going to be a problem, then you can't take them seriously because they have 3 pieces that they're still trying to get figured out. I mean, Cantor's been good for them. Deion Waiters has not. So they're still trying to figure out their lineups and a lot of different moving pieces. I just don't really like what I see from them, and it's just too much in and out of lineup, too many mixed lineups, too many guys that really can't depend on. I just don't know. I look at their roster, I'm just not really impressed. I look at at the guys, I'm looking. There's just not a lot of guys I trust on that team. It's just not. It sucks, but a lot of guys on that roster, I'm looking at like I don't know. I don't know if I trust. Especially for Golden State. If you got to win 2 games up in Oakland, it's going to be rough with that roster. I don't see that happening. And the reason why I say 2 because it feels like good teams always win one on the road, and the Warriors are going to win one in OKC. That's just how it's going to go. I don't see OKC winning 2 in Oakland this year. I just don't see them having that type of team.
Well, I think it's funny with OKC. They always, they made all these moves at the deadline, and before the deadline, they had brought in waiters. Obvious, moves that made sense to go get. But I mean, then you look at today, they had a lineup with McGarry and Nick Collison on the floor. It's like, Scott Brooks, what the hell are you doing? They always get caught with those stupid lineups out there on the floor. I know they're injured and whatnot, but it happens too much with. And I know it's a regular season game, but there's just far too many stupid lineups that Brooks brings out there.
Well, Scott Brooks is in a tough spot, man, because I don't think he's a great coach. I think he's had his issues, but at the same time, I think he's done okay. He just hasn't done great. He hasn't done above average. He's done okay with what the roster has been put together, especially on the defensive end. He's had a really good defensive team when his teams have been healthy. The problem is this: when you have a lot of moving pieces and when you have a lot of guys that are in and out of the lineup and that are so unique in their skill sets, it's tough to kind of figure out what you have. Like, I think a lot of it is this. A lot of it is, are the Thunder outside of their top 2 or 3 guys, are they really that good? And what are their strengths of players? They have a lot of guys that, they have a lot of talent on paper, but on paper don't get you that far.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jamison, before I let you go, do you want to tell everybody where we can find you on Twitter, the internets, all that good stuff?
On Twitter, at @VJamison. You can find me on there. On radio, Fox Sports 670 AM, Monday and Wednesday mornings in Vegas, Fox Sports 1340, Tuesday mornings, and KOL 750 in Utah. Sunday mornings talking NBA with Jabari and Jordan, and also on that same station on a Thursday or Wednesday afternoon.
Damn. Busy man. Check out Jamison on Twitter. If you're in the Southwest, check him out on the radio. And we'll talk again soon, buddy. I appreciate you coming on. And that'll do it for tonight's episode of the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. It's Thursday. I'm Bob.